Hello, everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets. Oh boy, when the Superman curl gets out of that out of control, we're due for a haircut, folks. Starts crawling in over the ears. I just look like a savage, like a hippie savage. So we're getting the new camera set up, which we got. That was taking me a little extra time this morning, but we finally got the better camera working. And I think I'm using this one ring light, but I think I need to use my bigger ring light. But hey, we're getting it. The sound is better than everything. We got the background, so it looks like. Oh, I got to take that PV thing off of there. The brand off of there. This is not an officially sanctioned political vigilante show. This is Government Secrets. All right. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Holly Horn and Blaze Saver Wolf are moderators. Thank you, everybody watching on my YouTube and on Lee Camp's YouTube. If you are watching for the first time on either my or Lee Camp's YouTube, make sure you go over to the other guy's YouTube and subscribe. Hit the like button. That always helps. And everybody watching on the Rockfin. We were having some problems at Rockfin. I don't know. I was trying to get it set up, but I don't know. Sometimes Rockfin is I don't know if it's being it's still listed as a draft. Oh, Rockfin. Sorry, let me go back there. I don't know why Rockfin is not streaming. Huh. We're going to try Rockfin again. Sorry, everybody. I don't know why this is taking so long. Why Rockfin is just deciding to be difficult today. You know what you're doing, Rockfin? It should say go live. It's not saying go live. Keep. If this doesn't work, then there might just be a Rockfin free stream for some reason. It might not be happening on Rockfin if it's just going to be problematic. Yep, something's up. I don't know. It's being problematic. So we'll check back and see if it's working. But all right, folks, we don't want to wait any longer. Government Secrets. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets, episode 110, with the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Grab Elwood. What's up, Lee Camp?
Hey, man. I'd give this top 10 Superman curl. This is in your top 10 right now.
It really is glory. I mean, it's really becoming like its own
It
peninsula.
looks like it could catch someone's eye as they walked by. Like,
well, that's
like hook them like a fish, like a trout.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal. I mean, this is a human hook. This is a fish hook for civilians. That's the whole goal of this. But yeah, so how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with all right. Hey, speaking of being the two most censored comedians in America, I am back. My podcast is back on Spotify because I renamed it and created a new podcast. So now, if you want my podcast on Spotify, it's called The Lee Camp Show because they have banned Moment of Clarity. So I've just created a new one.
Wow. They've just flat out banned it.
Yeah, same week as they banned my main YouTube channel and everything.
It's great. Yeah, you've had your whole YouTube channel just swept away in the tides. You've had your podcast.
Digital book burning. I picture, like Pompeo and Kissinger just dancing nude around a fire and throwing my YouTube videos into it.
Oh, I got a picture of those two guys naked. Good Lord, Lee. Come on. Those guys naked. I mean, they probably do. Those two guys are into some creepy shit. You know that. You know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm coming up February 1st will be 2 years of being demonetized for my show. So I'm still allowed to do it, but I can't make any money.
And demonized, both.
And flat out demonized. Just demon. I'm a demon.
Demonized and demonetized.
Yes, I am the demon of YouTube. I'm a YouTube demon. Yeah, I've had this guy in my show a couple of times, Houston Wade, that's like talks stocks and finance, and he has kind of a decent sized following. And both times my YouTube subscriber count went up. It like spiked because his audience came over to my show. And I think YouTube was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like it threw them for a loop.
Have they unsubscribed people?
There's been a little bit of that. They've caught a couple of them, but my numbers are closer to 74,000. So
my favorite, I had a similar thing happen. My favorite example, I don't know if the algorithm fell asleep for a day or what happened, but so I was shadow banned on Facebook with 335,000 followers, and I could never gain again. I was getting 5,000 a week, and I could never gain again. But they would slowly trickle down. So over the next 6 years, from 2016 to 2022 or 2021 or something, they trickled down to 327,000. And then one day I put up a meme of Jeff Bezos about how he makes more in 1 second, literally a second, than the Bangladeshi garment worker who makes the t-shirt that you buy on Amazon makes in a year. Or maybe a year. It might be a month. I don't know, either a month or a year, but 1 second. And so I put that up there. It gets 80,000 shares, goes crazy viral. And my follower account, the algorithm was like, "Oh shit." And my follower account jumps back up to where it had been, 335,000. And then they proceeded to unfollow people, and it went back to 327 in 2 weeks or something. Like they were like, "Well, we'll get it. Well, it's a temporary slip up."
Yeah. When they catch it, they're like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha." It's like the only way to make that happen is if you can have a bunch of those that sustain or something like that. Then some big person reposts you or something. That's the only way they can it's too big for them to pull back. Right. But the minute it stops, then they're always like, "Look, we got to get those. We got to get them. We can't let
you find a way around it," and then they block that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're filthy savages.
Yeah.
They're filthy savages.
Filthy, truth-telling sons of bitches with their truth, always with their fucking truth.
It's an annoying thing. I don't even know. At this point, I just keep doing what I do and keep trying to find different whatever platforms are posting to Instagram Reels seems to be pretty decent for me right now, knock on wood, in terms I post clips of this show. Our editor Joe does a great job of putting together these 60-second clips from this show, and a lot of those have done well for me on Instagram Reels. I don't know how they do really and they do okay on Facebook, but specifically my YouTube channel is
just shut off.
Yeah, it's just that's not going to happen. So that's not going to happen. Yeah, but first week of March, folks, my new comedy special Manifest that will be out on the All Things Comedy YouTube channel, which is not being throttled. And that's where I can get a lot of views, is if I put it on somebody else's thing. They just.
I'm glad you didn't title it Epstein.
The name of my comedy special is Epstein's JFK Epstein, Maxwell.
JFK killed Epstein. Uh,
JFK killed Epstein, and Maxwell runs QAnon. I'm just going to put that in as my title. But we have a fantabulous show. Lee is getting more into how forensic evidence and court stuff isn't working, how the lie detectors don't work.
I'm doing a series within government secrets. I'm doing a series on how forensic quote unquote science, criminal conviction quote unquote science, is a load of garbage at every level. And we use it to lock away people behind bars for their entire lives. Just that kind of thing. Just a small issue.
And then you sent me an article last week. We're like, Graham, this is kind of up your alley. And it's like a listing of more nukes that have been lost. So this is like my I'm like, you're right. I love the fact that they're losing things that could end all life on planet.
I love the idea that there could be a guy out back, a like Olive Garden in Trenton, New Jersey, just like with a nuke in the trunk of his car. Like, I found it on a beach, man.
Just like, yeah, man, we were on a hike and turns out there was a nuke. Just
yeah.
Oh, this story is
there. Do you want it? Like, if you have tickets to the Springsteen show, I'll give you the nuke.
Yeah, could we just I found a couple of nukes and I just put them up on Craigslist. And and I got a couple of concert tickets. It's pretty sweet.
I like how you're sticking with the Craigslist.
I was going to say offer up.
I am not, for my nukes, I am not going to one of these newfangled apps. I am Craig.
I want Craigslist. I want all the weirdos that are on Craigslist. No, I actually use the offer up app. It's a fantastic. I just moved. It's a great app.
I have used that.
And it's really good for nukes because you just take a photo of the nuke and then boom, you post it. And there's always someone within your area that is willing to drive, come pick up your nuke.
They're normally Ukrainian for some reason, but they want a nuke and they show up.
It's
and
where
they pay cash.
It was great. I needed a new bicycle. And this one guy's like, would you take a bicycle for a nuke? And the bike is in pretty good working condition. Like, I might need a new rear tire, but it's a solid bike. And I'm like, what am I going to do with a nuke? So I gave it to this guy in Torrance, California. So there's a guy in Torrance, California that has a nuke. And I got this great bike. It's just fantastic.
And this is why I tuned into the show. I just learned there's a place called Torrance, California.
I'm equally excited to go to the Olive Garden in Trenton, New Jersey. I mean, I can't wait I have a map of all the places I want to go. And I just put an Olive Garden.
And you've been to 80% of all Olive Gardens. So there's a few left.
It's my goal. 2023 is the year I finish my Olive Garden tour. And again, I found several nukes. One of them, and a guy just gave me, he goes like, I got this Olive Garden gift card for my birthday and I don't really eat at Olive Garden. There isn't one near me. So I was like, oh, give me you get the nuke. I get so I got $25 to go to Olive Garden, buddy. That's a lot of breadsticks and salad.
That's shit ton of breadsticks. Shit ton.
It's almost as many breadsticks as the United States government has lost in nukes. So what? I don't know which I think both of our stories are going to have. Mine has more of an end of the world vibe. There's still going to be fun stuff in there. And I think.
Who went first last week? You went first last week? We can switch it up.
Yeah. I went first last week because you had the bite mark thing, which we knew was going to be funny.
Which, I was saddened to learn that bite marks science is meaningless because, and this might be TMI, but I have bite marks on my inner thigh and I've been trying to figure out who left them because I've narrowed it down to like 6 to 7 people.
I had a different reaction. After last week's episode, I was like, I'm going to start biting some people on the ass and they won't be able to prove it. So it's been kind of great for me.
Right. Me too could not take out Graham because no one can prove whose bite that was.
Look, I was at an Olive Garden in Torrance, California last week, and I bit this guy's ass so hard. And he was like, what are you doing? Oh, I thought it was a breadstick. And then I ran out of there and he couldn't prove it. You know what I mean?
I convinced the jury that I thought it was a breadstick. So
The old breadstick ass biting alibi. All right, so we'll
all right,
go.
man. Let's get into it.
Lee Camp doing Government Secrets, episode 110. Secret number one.
I'm trying to remember. I have little bits from multiple articles, and I'm trying to remember which one I want to. Let's go with. So this is from American Psychological Association. Oh, and I got our lovely producer, who is one of the most attractive women I've ever met. But don't tell him that. And I want it, but he sent us a image, and I want to find it.
Is he sending you drag photos? Is that what's going on?
You know, I don't necessarily want to talk about it.
You brought it up. Wait a minute. You gotta get to just say he's one of the most attractive women out there, and then go, whoa, Graham, you're crossing a line. You can't just like throw that out there.
Graham, I'm really offended that you are talking about this right now.
I'm really offended that you're referencing a thing that I brought up. That really is bothering me.
All right, there's the first image. Anyway, so this is from the American Psychological Association, which I feel like, I'm not saying they get everything right, but they tend to know something about humans.
They know they know the American. Let's put this in writing, folks. The American Psychology Association seems to know something about humans. Boy, that is right up there with Estonia is near something. That is the.
Yep. Which we had fans in Estonia email us and say we nailed it. It is actually.
Yes. No, that was breaking news. We uncovered that on this show. This is the first show to say that Estonia is near something. And now we're going to say that the APA knows something about human beings.
So the instrument, and by the way, I'll just lead with this. Lie detectors they've been used in court. I'll talk about that in a minute, but for the most part. However, they've been used to get countless confessions out of people. Many of them were like not legitimate confessions, like a young kid pressured into confessing to things they didn't do because the cops told them, oh, we have the proof and you just have to, and we'll let you go if you say you did it, and shit like that. So many lives destroyed from lie detectors. Now, some of these people confessed and they did it, but whatever the crime may be. But, a lot of our crimes are bullshit also. Anyway, the instrument typically used to conduct polygraph tests consists of a physiological recorder that assesses 3 indicators of autonomic arousal: heart rate or blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity, meaning how sweaty you are, which increases the conductivity. Most examiners today use computerized recording systems. Rate and depth of respiration are measured by pneumographs wrapped around a subject's chest. Cardiovascular activity is assessed by blood pressure cuff. Skin conductivity is measured through electrodes attached to the subject's fingertips. The accuracy, again, this is the American Psychological Association, the accuracy and validity of polygraph testing has long been controversial. An underlying problem is theoretical. There is no evidence that any pattern of physiological reactions is unique to deception. Seems like that might be important. An honest person may be nervous when answering truthfully, and a dishonest person may be non-anxious while answering untruthfully. So here is the American Psychological Association saying there's no evidence that we have any pattern of physiological body, biological response to just deceiving someone. So that's the end of the lie detector right there. Like, if we have no proof that you definitely sweat or your heartbeat definitely goes up when you deceive someone, then you cannot have a functional lie detector. So, like, that, to me, that's the beginning and end of the whole story. Like, fucking shut it down. Shut it down.
Right.
We've kept doing this for years and years. There are a few good studies that validate the ability of polygraph procedures to detect deception. There are few good studies, meaning not many. As Dr. Sachs and Israeli psychologist Gershon Ben Shahar noted in 1999, it may in fact be impossible to conduct a proper validity study. In real-world situations, it's very difficult to know what the truth is. A particular problem is that polygraph research has not separated placebo effects, the subject's belief in the efficacy of the procedure, from the actual relationship between deception and their physiological responses. One response the polygraph test may appear to be accurate is that, one reason that polygraph tests may appear to be accurate is that subjects who believe that the test works and that they can be detected may confess or will be very anxious when questioned. If this view is correct, the lie detector might be better called a fear detector. And this kind of gets to some of the crux of it, which is the reason that lie detectors are still used, and they're used to prompt confessions. They're used in some corporations to determine whether you're telling the truth about your past and your resume, your life. But the reason they're still talked about as if they are somewhat accurate is because they're useful in pressuring people if the people believe they're accurate. So basically, if you believe this horse shit, then you're more likely to tell the truth or confess or something, which is not science. That's just deceiving someone for your own ends.
I would. I mean, it's such great points because we've all. I'm sure I know I have had people like accuse me of something that I did not do. But I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And they're like, oh, you're acting guilty. It's like, no way. I don't even want to get close to this accusation. I didn't do this at all. And I'm sitting here, like, I would love to conduct an experiment of getting hiring a lie detector person and like beforehand saying, okay, this is where I was born. This is where I went to high school, and then deliberately lie to see if I can trick the machine. And then do the same thing again, tell the truth, but be all nervous when I'm telling it to see again if I can trick the machine. Like we have this, I would love to go in and do that to see how easy it would be to trip this up.
Yeah, and probably pretty easy because there's also people that are nervous when they're facing a lie detector, even as they tell the truth. So like if I were accused of murder, and I'm in a police station being harassed by cops, especially when I was younger, but now too, harassed by cops, told, oh, you did this, you murdered this person, we have all the proof, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, will you take a lie detector? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking didn't do it. But then they're giving me the lie detector and I'm like, oh, I'm nervous as fuck because you're worried the lie detector will be wrong. So if you're nervous, now you might come off as lying.
Yeah. It's really easy to, yeah. I mean, if I ever got put in a situation where someone was accusing me of something and they did a lie detector, I'd say absolutely. And then I would deliberately, calmly lie in the beginning when they do the baseline, when they say like, were you born here and wherever, whatever question they ask.
Of you telling the truth, right?
Of you telling the truth. I would deliberately just say a couple lies, calm as day, and then go, I lied.
And then they'd be like, well, we couldn't get the baseline.
Yeah.
There's another image if you want to throw that up there. So most psychologists and other scientists agree that there is little basis for the validity of polygraph tests. Then why are we acting like it's still a thing? Like at every level, it's like, oh, this isn't a thing. Psychologists and other scientists say it's not a thing. Courts, including I don't know if you heard of this one, the Supreme Court has said that you can't use polygraphs in trials, repeatedly rejected use of polygraph evidence because it's inherently unreliable. So after all of those things, why not why don't we all just say, hey, there is not right now, maybe there will be one day. Right now, there is not a lie detector. Like, this is still talked about like it's a goddamn thing in our society. It's not a fucking thing. Like,
right.
Stop Stop furthering this bullshit. I mean, it's on par with saying like, oh, you were born in the year of the dragon. That means that you masturbate too much. Like, it,
Is that something about the Lunar New Year that just people say about the year of the dragon?
it's a big year of the dragon thing. Yeah.
You like to stroke the dragon, if you know what I mean, pal.
Right.
We know what you
That's
guys are
why
up
they
to.
call it that. Yeah. But polygraph testing continues, despite the fact Supreme Court has denied it can be used. Polygraph testing continues to be used in non-judicial settings. Dana Carvey used to have a joke about how you can't say judicial system without sounding drunk. The judicial system. Non-judicial settings, often to screen personnel, but sometimes to try to assess the veracity of suspects and witnesses and to monitor criminal offenders on probation. So still being used in a lot of ways. So here's another article from City Journal. Truth about polygraph tests. News organizations would render a valuable service if whenever they report that someone has taken or proposes to take, which we have a lot of that in our news stories as well. People go, I'll take a lie detector test. And then all of America goes, oh, he must be telling the truth. He said he'd take a lie detector test.
Right.
This article says, whenever they report someone has taken or proposed to take a polygraph, they remind readers that polygraphs are voodoo, junk science. They are no more reliable than a pack of tarot cards. Polygraph evidence is inadmissible in court. There is a good reason for that. And the two court cases, Supreme Court cases that have rejected using polygraphs are Fry versus the U.S. and U.S. versus Sheffer. A polygraph measures your heart rate, breathing, and galvanic skin response. There's no evidence that any pattern of physiological response is unique to deception. Polygraphs are useful to investigators trying to elicit confession. That's what they're mainly used for, is pressuring idiots who have been told it's a real thing that they have to confess because it's a real thing. And then this guy gives an example, which this isn't journalism. It's just kind of funny. So I thought it says, it works as follow. I say, assuming you're the cop, I say, quote, we've got your triglyceride levels from the doorknob you touched walking in here. We'll match those up against the steering wheel, and that'll tell us the whole story right there. Son, why on earth wouldn't you want us to match up those triglyceride levels if you're not involved in this? If you're afraid of what those triglyceride levels will tell me, you should sit right back down. If the truth comes out later and you've been wasting my time, I won't be able to help you, unquote. And then he continues, and he says, I was right. The cop comes back. I was right. The triglyceride levels never lie. Then I tell the suspect he's guilty. Full stop. He is guilty. I know he's guilty. I tell him all the evidence we have against him, piling up layer on layer until he feels entombed by the misdeeds, and he thinks he can't escape, and he confesses to the crime. Now, of course, there's no such thing as triglyceride levels.
It's like, that's the first question I would have. I would be like, hey, police officer, do you know what triglycerides are? Because I bet you don't.
Yeah.
And then
that's the same as the lie detector. And yet we see it in all of popular culture. It's in movies. It's in TV shows. Cops say they're going to put people on the lie detectors. It's like, I can't stress enough that this isn't just funny. Like, how many lives have been destroyed? It's still used in corporate settings. How many corporations have denied someone a job with this bullshit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's countless. The number of people that are in jail. You know what I mean? It's like, it's staggering that we claim to be this society that's on the cutting edge. And, again, we spend all this money on our police departments and research. We don't spend money on actually getting it right. We just spend money on militarized equipment and, riot gear and whatever else, rather than like having somebody know these polygraphs are never used. We can't use them ever. Like, it's just bad. So It's
And this is the last article I'll give everyone. This is from an academic journal, which also mentions at the beginning that in 1983, U.S. President Reagan issued the National Security Decision Directive 84, which authorized all federal agencies to use polygraphs to test if any of their employees had leaked classified information. Following widespread protest and probably someone walking into Reagan's office and going, so, sir, those are bullshit. He then retracted the directive less than 3 months later. The polygraph was initially heralded by its proponents as a triumph of science and something that was capable of transforming criminal investigations. However, it has severely struggled to live up to its expectations. In 2003, the most extensive review of the scientific evidence of the polygraph to date was published by the U.S. National Research Council, NRC, at the request of the Department of Energy, which was mainly concerned with the use of polygraph for personal security screening. And they found that notwithstanding the limitations of the quality of the empirical research and the limited ability to generalize to real-world settings, we conclude that populations of examinees, such as those represented in the polygraph research, untrained in countermeasures, specific incident polygraph tests can discriminate lying from truth-telling rates well above chance, though well below perfection. So in perhaps the largest review of this stuff, which there's been many tests that have shown that polygraphs are equivalent to flipping a coin. But in their review, this one, they found that, yes, it's above chance, meaning just pointing at someone and saying you're lying no matter what they've said, or you're telling the truth. But it's still way below being able to actually tell if someone's lying, which means they're useless. Like, if a polygraph can't do it 100% or 99.9% like DNA evidence, then it's useless. It's garbage.
Yeah. And it shouldn't even be considered. I mean, literally we're using this stuff that isn't the equivalent of like, let's put her in water and see if she floats. And then we know she's a witch or whatever like that. We're using
Same
just
shit.
the modern version of that.
Same shit.
Oh boy.
It's like, I mean, honestly, this is how something like this runs away with itself and keeps being used in society is you have a ruling system, and we kind of talked about this the last time, a ruling class that wants to convict whoever they feel like.
Right.
You know, they want to convict innocent people like Donziger or Mumia or whatever. And so they want to create ways to convict whoever they want. Now, sure, sometimes their ways are used on guilty people, you know, a murderer who actually murdered someone. But often, many times, it's used on someone who's innocent. Doesn't really matter to them. They're the ruling class. If they were not convicted, if they were found to have, you know, if they were charged or whatever with murder, they're going to get out of it through a million different legal proceedings. So it comes down to we're the ruling class and we want to convict who we want to convict.
Yeah. And that you make a great point. That's the whole goal of much of this is just to give average people the illusion that there's this court system and fair and it's justice, you know, justice is blind, but really they implement all these things. And the same thing with the Constitution. We've talked like, you know, it's meant to be like, oh, we're all free. No, the Constitution was written by rich, you know, male landowners that wanted to, you know, protect their power, but give people the illusion of freedom of choice. And we want to give you the illusion that, hey, everybody gets their day in court. Everyone gets a fair trial. Just we'll put these little things in there that we can just intermittently don't use to get whoever we want found guilty. And it's that simple. I mean, and now with the private prison complex, I mean, it's probably like, yeah, keep the lie detectors in the rotation out there, because that really gets our numbers up for the private prisons, and that's what we need because there's good money in that.
I mean, as with when our cops, so many of them violate people's rights because the people don't know what their rights actually are. Like most people don't know they have the right to Miranda, being told their Miranda rights. They don't know they have the right to remain silent. So a lot of people just speak to the cops thinking they have to. It's very similar to that. It's the cops are counting on people not knowing that this is
Right.
junk science. Yeah.
Yep. That's their way to go, cops.
Which is
Nice
real
work.
justice. That's a real land of the free. We have real justice in this country kind of idea. Is we're hoping people are dumb enough that they believe that we know anything.
And they're taught that. I mean, and this is something we brought up last week too, is the whole system in terms of we're already in a broken system where cops need numbers, they need to hit, they need conviction rates, clearance rates or whatever. So they need stuff to get to these numbers that are imposed by an already corrupt system. So the cops are like, well, I got to get a conviction. So I need an arrest. If we don't have an arrest on this, then everyone's going to crawl up in the media and the mayor's going to crawl up my ass or whatever. So we need to get an arrest. So we're going to get one. I'll do whatever I got to do to get an arrest. And then I can say, we got the bad guy. It's done. And that's why they fight so hard when new evidence comes forward saying this is not the right person. Cause they're just like, no, they don't want to get it right. They just want their arrest percentage to stay whatever it is.
Right.
Let's go to government secrets. Segment number 2. More lost nukes.
The theme of this episode is incompetence of our government.
The incompetence, our government putting regular citizens at risk. In this segment, we're going to see how our government has done it numerous times and could have killed everyone. The title of this article is The Lost Nuclear Bombs That No Find. Now, some of these we have covered on the show.
If you want to share the article,
yes, I will share. I'll share the article. There we go. Then everyone gets to see how wonderful this country is. The U.S. has lost at least 3 nuclear bombs that have never been located.
We've gone through a lot of dropped and mishandled nukes, and I don't think we've gone through one yet until now where they didn't find it. Or, actually, there was the one in North Carolina. They don't have the whatever plutonium core that's in the farmland or whatever. So I guess we covered one, but I don't know that we've covered others where it's like, yeah, we don't really know where it is.
I mean, I thought you had it last. I'm trying to remember.
Listen, just retrace your steps.
That's how I find my keys. I was like, oh, I had them when I came home from the gym. I put them down, then I took a shower. Oh, there they are. See. Just do that with a nuke. How did this happen? Where could they be? And will we ever find them? This is a great question this journalist asked. Will we find these lost nukes? And if we don't, what's the worst that can happen, Lee?
I think Olive Garden's going to suffer.
January 17th, 1966, around 10:30 a.m., a Spanish shrimp fisherman watched a misshapen white parcel fall from the sky. That's not disconcerting at all, Lee. It's and suddenly glided towards the Alboran Sea. It had something hanging beneath it, though he couldn't make out what it was. Then it slipped beneath the waves. Yes, because it's the job of a fisherman to know when a nuke falls out of the sky and identify it correctly.
I mean, you've heard, it's a government. It's called the Fisherman Alert System. We've had it in place for many years now, and it's pretty flawless, I'd say.
Yeah. Was that Red Sky at Night? Nukes, Fisherman's at Delight, or whatever? What is that sign?
Fisherman's Delight.
Fisherman's Delight? Yeah. Nukes fall from the sky, Fisherman's Delight. Something like that. It's something like that. So, at the same time, in the nearby fishing village of Palomars, locals looked up at an identical sky and witnessed a very different scene. 2 giant fireballs hurtling towards them. Again, what's the big deal? Within seconds, the sleepy rural town was shattered. Building shook, shrapnel sliced towards the ground, body parts fell to the earth.
That's actually when I feel like something might be up, is when body parts rain down.
Yeah, I'm saying with you. Like a fireball, sure, we see those all the time, blowing up buildings. Just fireballs randomly come out of the sky,
Yeah,
like
but
we're being
this
attracted.
seems like an unusual weather pattern.
I mean, normally I'm like you. I see a fireball, I'm like, ah, the dragons are out, you know.
Right.
And but it's weird when then body parts and buildings shook.
Mhm.
A few weeks later, Philip Myers received a message via a teleprinter, a device that could send and receive primitive emails. At the time, he was working as a bomb disposal officer at the Naval Air Facility in.
Pull the article down because I missed your lovely face.
He was working at a bomb disposal facility, who apparently in the guidebook was just like, just fucking drop them from the sky at some fisherman. Who gives a shit? I guess that's what the policy was. Just, eh. Um, so,
Of these body parts that rained down, do they know whether it was consensual?
that should be our focus and concern. Were they consensual body parts? Not that shit blew up and nukes are falling out of the sky. I get it. So this guy who's disposal officer in Sicily was told that there's a top secret emergency in Spain, and then he must report there within days. The mission was not as covert as the military had hoped. Oh man, it's like you can't drop bombs out of the sky on human beings and everybody doesn't run their mouth.
Not as covert as we had hoped is one of the best euphemisms I have ever heard for body parts and explosions raining down on people.
And it's just like, doesn't it sum up the United States military? That wasn't as covert as we hoped. Oof. Yikes.
Welcome to the U.S. Marines. Not as covert as we would have hoped.
Look, we all have off days, Lee. Let's not split hairs, right? It was not a surprise to be called, says Myers. Even the public knew what was going on when he attended a dinner party that evening. So after hellfire rains from the sky and dead bodies, time for a cocktail party.
Well, look, I'm not gonna miss the dinner. This has been planned for weeks. Okay,
Right.
I RSVP'd to this.
I just got my tux back from the cleaners, and now I'm supposed to run off about some fishing village on fire. Come on. I mean, they're going to have really good hors d'oeuvres. That evening, he announced the mysterious trip. Its intended confidentiality became something of a joke. It was kind of embarrassing, said Myers. It was supposed to be a secret, but my friends were telling me why I was going. I'm sure the people in that village thought it was funny. For weeks, newspapers around the globe had been reporting rumors of a terrible accident. 2 U.S. military planes had collided in midair, scattering 4 B-28 thermonuclear bombs across the Palomares. The 3 were quickly recovered on land, but 1 had disappeared into the sparkling blue expanse of the southeast, lost to the bottom of the nearby swath of the Mediterranean Sea.
But it was followed by a guy named Lars with a scuba tank. So we're pretty sure he has it.
I mean, finders keepers, right? I mean, I don't want to like quote international policy on nukes, but
the UN found in 1986 finders keepers.
that is a UN policy. Finders keepers, losers weepers. That is in writing. You can go look that up.
Losers weepers, yeah.
Losers weepers. So now the hunt was on to find it, along with its 1.1 megaton warhead, which had the explosive power of 1.1 million tons of TNT, which that's
sounds like I'm going to go a lot. That sounds like a lot.
It feels like a pretty big 4th of July to me. Well, this is something, this will put your mind at ease, Lee, I'm sure. The Palomares incident is not the only time a nuclear weapon has been misplaced. There have been, I'm going to give you a blank number of so-called broken arrow accidents, which we've talked about those involving a catastrophically destructive Earth-flattening devices since 1950. So, how many broken arrow accidents has the United States had since 1950?
How many broken arrow, bent spear, or limp dick accidents have
Soft
we?
shaft. How many atomic flaccid cocks have we had?
I'm gonna go 7.
Oh, Lee Camp. Woefully low. The number you were looking for is 32. 32 broken arrow accidents.
You know the expression. You play with thousands of nukes, you're gonna break a few eggs, maybe. You're gonna break all the eggs. There will be no more eggs. You will eliminate eggs from the planet if you play
you
with
will
nukes.
decimate the human and chicken population.
All eggs of all species. Yeah.
Oh. This is something that's going to sound more comforting. Well, first of all, 3 U.S. bombs have gone missing altogether, and they're still out there to this day, lurking in swamps, fields, and oceans across the planet. Here's some more good news, because that number of 32 that I gave you, that's just America's lost nukes. We mostly know about the American cases, says Jeffrey Lewis of the East Asia Non-Proliferation Program at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies in California. He explains that the full list only emerged when a summary prepared by the U.S. Department of Defense was declassified in the 1980s. Many occurred during the Cold War, when the nation tethered on the precipice of mutually assured destruction with the Soviet Union, and consequently kept airplanes armed with nuclear weapons in the sky at all times from 1960 to 1968 in an operation known as Chrome Dome.
Right. That was the idea, that if we always have a jet in the air with nukes, then even if Russia were to bomb every city in America, there would still be a jet out there with nukes.
Yeah, which is great. So the 32, that's what we know about the United States. But we quote, this guy says, we really don't know anything about the United Kingdom or France or Russia or China. So I don't think we have anything.
Or let me add, Israel, that is absolutely a nuclear power and yet pretends they're not.
Right. Sure. The Soviet Union's nuclear past is particularly murky. It had amassed a stockpile of roughly 45,000 nuclear weapons as of 1986. There are known cases where the country lost nuclear bombs and had never been retrieved. But unlike with the U.S. incidents, they all occurred on submarines, and the locations are known if inaccessible.
I think Yeltsin sold one of the nukes for, it was like a half jar of bourbon, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the bourbon for nukes plan that Yeltsin had. That was his bourbon. And he would say, I'm Yeltsin, bourbon for nukes. And then like it would, an 800 number would flash on the screen.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The bourbon for nukes. So, I mean, if that doesn't put your mind at ease, so there's 32. There's
I'm at ease, man. I'm at ease.
Totally. So 3 still missing American nukes is enough to like destroy the planet. But let's sprinkle in a couple more from Russia and China, maybe the UK or Israel or France or whatever. So.
And one was, I didn't read that whole article. One was lost in a submarine that Howard Hughes tried to help them pick up with like a deep sea crane. Yeah, if you can control F in that article and type in Hughes, you should find it.
God.
But Howard Hughes, the famous, he created his own airline, very rich man. He's like an Elon Musk of his time in some ways, but he suddenly developed an extreme interest in deep sea diving, and he just wanted to fund deep sea diving programs. Turns out it was actually him helping the US government to try and retrieve a submarine that when they tried to actually pick it up, like with one, like a giant version of that arcade game with the claw that picks up the stuffed animals. They tried to do that in the deep sea, and the submarine just broke in pieces.
Wow. Well, James Cameron comes to mind. He's always doing this
Yeah.
deep sea stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if secretly he's trying to claw out a nuke and hope that he gets a stuffed animal too.
Yeah.
So, the this is another, this article goes on and on. It's like April 8th, 1970, when a fire started spreading through air conditioning system of a Soviet K-8 powered submarine while it was diving in the Bay of Biscay, a treacherous stretch of water in the northeastern Atlantic Ocean of the coast off of Spain and France, which is notorious for violent storms and where many vessels have met their end. It had 4 nuclear torpedoes on board, and when it promptly sank, it took its radioactive cargo with it. However, lost vessels don't always stay where they're at. In 1968, a Soviet K-129 mysteriously sank in the Pacific Ocean northwest of Hawaii, along with 3 nuclear missiles. The U.S. soon found out and decided to mount a secret attempt to retrieve these nuclear prize, which was really a pretty crazy story in and of itself. I think this is the Howard Hughes one. The eccentric American billionaire Howard Hughes, famous for a band of his broad spectrum of activity. Yeah, this is what you're talking about. He wasn't deep sea mining. He was actually looking for sunken Soviet nukes.
Right. The U.S. government didn't want to reveal that that's what they were doing. So
Yes.
they had him pretend he was into deep sea mining.
He's into deep sea, and it was called Project Azorian. And it, as you said, it didn't work. The submarine broke up as it was being lifted. And so those nuclear weapons would have fallen back to the seafloor. Some people think the weapons remain there to this day, trapped in the rusting bomb, though others believe they were eventually recovered. Like every now and then there's reports that the lost nukes have been found, but nobody really knows. So back to the Palomars, right? So when Myers, the guy's job it is to clean up, spilled nukes, the Spanish village where a B-50 bomber came down in 1966, the authorities were still for the missing nuclear bomb. Each night, his team slept in tents in the village, which were freezing and damp. It was just like an English winter, he says. During the day, they did very little. It was a waiting game. It's a standard military thing. Hurry up and wait. We had to rush all over and then did nothing for 2 weeks. And then after that, the undersea exploration became very serious. The search team enlisted the help of 2 ingenious inventions. One was an obscure theorem from the 18th century invented by a Presbyterian minister turned amateur mathematician, which helps people to use information about past occurrences to calculate the probability of them happening again. They use the technique of Bayesian interference to decide where to look for the bomb and to help them search in the most efficient way possible. The second was Alvin, a cutting-edge deep-sea ocean submarine able to dive to unprecedented depths for 1966. Like a rotund white shark, each day it descended into the deep blue Mediterranean water with a human crew in its belly and began the hunt. On March 1st, 1966, the sub spotted something, a track made by a bomb when it first hit the seabed. Later images revealed an eerie scene. The rounded tip of the missing nuclear weapon covered by a ghostly shroud, its white parachute, which had partially deployed when it dropped. Good thing the parachute didn't work. Tangling itself up with its precious cargo, this deadly tube of metal had somehow ended up resembling a person dressed up for Halloween in a bedsheet.
Okay.
I'm a bomb that can end all life on planet Earth. So they found it, and now they had to get off the ocean floor. It was currently at 2,850 deep. They improvised a kind of fishing line out of a few thousand feet of heavy-duty nylon rope and a metal hook. The idea was to latch onto the device and pull it up until it was close enough to the surface that a diver could go down and secure it more thoroughly. That was the plan. Lee, yes or no? Did it work?
Swimmingly.
Oh, wrong again, pal. Didn't work.
Man, I am sucking today.
They managed to hook the nuclear bomb and started to hoist it out of the water. They had lifted up off the bottom when disaster struck. The parachute, resuscitated from its sleep on the ocean floor, suddenly began doing what they do best, slowing down its cargo speed and making it harder to move. So get rid of the parachute, and then suddenly it filled up, and then yeah.
Yep.
But this is a quote from Myers. Do you realize that parachutes work just as well in water as they do on land? Question mark.
Boy, I wouldn't thought a parachute would do anything in water. How crazy.
It's weird. It's who'd think that it could fill up with water the way it fills up with air. It just doesn't make sense. The parachute was pulling so hard on the line that the line they were using to pull the nuke off the floor of the ocean snapped, sending the nuke back down to the bottom. And this time,
it like all of these things they're doing to try and retrieve nukes could set off the nukes.
Right. Could have made it worse. But the good news is then when the line snapped, the nuke went down deeper than it was before.
Nice.
With the bomb now less accessible than ever, his improvised line wouldn't be long enough to catch it. So the task was handed over to another team. A month later, they used a different kind of robotic submarine, a cable-controlled underwater vehicle, to grab the bomb by its parachute directly. Hey, who'd have thought of that? And haul it up. It had shifted in its casing, so it couldn't be disarmed the usual way. Oh, that's good news. The officers instead had to cut into the nuclear weapon. It would have been kind of nerve-wracking to drill a hole in a hydrogen bomb, says Myers. Boy, this is the captain of understatement. This Myers guy is really just... They did it, and they apparently that worked.
Eddie, we need you to drill into this nuclear bomb. I've only been here 3 days, sir. Yeah, you'll be great. You go do that. We're gonna be behind this metal shed.
Eddie, you don't have any wife or kids? Nope, single, sir. Ah, boy, that's our guy. You get out there, friend, and there's an extra, $100 in your pay envelope next week, pal. If you get this done right.
$200 if you blow yourself up in the process.
Yeah, that goes right to your dear sweet mom. So that's the story that is still not over of missing nukes.
There you go, folks. So they're out there. If anyone wants one, get on it. Check out Graham's Craigslist postings.
Set up your nuke on offer up. And, this show always helps me anytime I'm like, can we trust our leaders in the government and the military? And the show always makes you go, yeah, you know what? They really know what they're doing. They're smart, sharp people. Yep. They don't have insane lunatics running things and then put like dangerous jobs in the hands of people that are woefully underqualified. It's the thing that makes me sleep.
You can totally trust them. And if you ever for a second thought you couldn't, they're willing to take a polygraph test.
They will strap themselves up to your polygraph.
Yep.
Using the same cable that snapped, raising a nuke from the bottom of the Mediterranean. So, yeah, that's it, folks. That's our episode. I hope you enjoy that. Lie detectors are nonsense, and there's still 3 nukes missing. So that are ours.
And now we're headed off to patreon.com/government secrets to talk about, let's see, we've got some weapons contractors this week in government secrets, some truth about them. We've got you know what, the other one's a surprise. The other one's kind of a funny one, so I don't want to give it away. The other one's kind of a surprise. And yeah, we'll be doing that extra segment at patreon.com/government secrets. And also, if you join over there, you get all of the old extra segments we've done, which are timeless. So You can check those out anytime.
Yes. And there's different, every tier on Patreon gets you the same access. It's just if you want to donate more to us, and you can get cool stuff like a Government Secrets mug, a Government Secrets sticker, a shirt. So you get some cool stuff and you're supporting what we're doing. And you, like Lee said, you get access to the entire back catalog. If you join today, right now, we'll be over there in a couple of minutes. You can then start watching all of the old cool segments that we have been doing. So go to patreon.com/government secrets. If you're listening, it's also scrolling below if you're watching. And wherever you're listening or watching, like it, hit the subscribe button. If it's an audio on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, Google, give it a positive review and share it out on your social media, because you guys are all helping us grow the show.
And if you like this podcast, I have 2 other podcasts. One goes by 2 names now. It's Moment of Clarity and/or The Lee Camp Show. So check out both of those. If you're on Spotify, it's The Lee Camp Show. And my other one is called Common Censored with Eleanor Goldfield.
Oh, nice. Folks, you can watch my show, Political Vigilante. We stream 3 days a week, typically. And we cover all different types of stuff. We interview different people. And also go to grahamelwood.com. I'm going to start to be announcing tour dates. And you can sign up for my newsletter. You get a free vegan smoothie when you sign up for my newsletter. And there's merch. There's Political Vigilante merchandise. There's a lot of great ways to support the show. So go to grahamelwood.com. And this has been Government Secrets, episode 110, Lie Detector Lies and Missing Nukes that you can find as part of a contest.
All right, man. See you in a minute.
You got it, buddy. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hitting the like button. Very much appreciated. And thank you to our Holly and Blaze Silverwolf, our moderators. And we thank all of you. And this is the article. This was the article that was in there that I was referring to. I'm putting that on the screen for the Lost Nukes. And everybody else. Thank you all for watching. And this person that says Lee sold his soul to Putin, I'm going to put you in a timeout on the off chance you're serious. If you're joking, you'll be out of the timeout. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. I was looking for videos instead of podcasts and didn't check the Patreon. Right on. Over at patreon.com/government secrets, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And we will see you next week, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern time for Government Secrets. We'll see you over there soon. Shalom.